A big welcome to everyone. It's been a long time since I've seen you, since the nutrition services staff have seen you, probably since you've seen each other. So thank you so much for joining our Zoom meeting today. We are definitely serving up some great school meals in Nebraska. And a big thanks to all of you for doing that, especially during these trying times. So what we're going to be talking about today is some housekeeping first. You can mute your microphones. And can everyone hear me okay? Just kind of give me a thumbs up if I'm coming in okay. Great, good. You can use the chat box at any time with any questions you have. Now, I can't guarantee we know all the answers, but we will certainly try and address your questions today. We will have time for idea sharing, so please feel free to share what's going on at your school, what you've done, questions you have, those types of things. Today's Zoom meeting will be recorded and posted on the Nutrition Services web page. You are getting training hours for today. It's 1 hour of professional standards training for today. And if you would like a certificate, then please enter your name and email address in the chat box, and we will email you a certificate. If you are fine with just recording on your log sheet for professional standards that you attended today's training, that works as well for the credit. But if you want the certificate, we need your name and email address. Let's see, record today's session details and which team members attended, and retain with other professional standard training documentation. We just kind of went over that. So if you're not going to request a certificate, make sure that you record all the information needed on your log to get that credit. So what are we going to talk about today? Well, we're going to give you an update on what's been going on in our office. We're going to talk about meal service waivers. We're going to talk about meal service considerations for this summer, what's going on right now, some reminders about what needs to happen, and then training information. And then Sarah Smith, who works in the Farm to School, will be talking a little bit about that program. So we have a lot to cover today, and so we'll go ahead and get started with the updates. Well, at the end of March, Nutrition Services bid a farewell and good luck to Shannon Wilkinson from our office as she accepted a new position. So she left our office the end of March. And with that transition, we gained Katie Parch, who had worked in the Child and Adult Care Food Program and also the Summer Food Service Program. She transitioned over into the school lunch program and continued her responsibilities with the summer feeding program. She is the director of both programs, and she will be talking with us a little bit later in the webinar today about all of the waivers that are in effect right now. We also have a new staff member that will be joining us the beginning of July. Allie Lampman will be joining us. Allie comes with extensive experience in school food service. She worked as a director in self-operated programs, and she most recently was the area director for a food service management company that operates in Nebraska. So we are very happy to have Allie join us. She has practical experience, and she's going to be able to jump right into the position. So that'll be a new face for you all. And then Erica Arter and her family welcomed a baby girl named Emma in the later part of April. So Erica is on maternity leave. She will be returning to us in late July. So Erica didn't pick the most ideal time to have a baby, but everything went very well. And baby Emma is adorable. So that's updates in our office. One other update that maybe some of you are getting emails about is that if you are operating the summer food service program, our office is required to do a desk review of all new programs that are operating. So many of you are new to the summer food service program due to COVID-19, and you operated maybe in May, you ended at the end of the school year, maybe you continue to operate till the end of June. You will be having what's called a desk review. As I said, it's required by USDA, and it's to make sure that your program was in compliance with the regulations of the program. So please do not be surprised. Do not be worried about this review. It's a requirement that our office has to do. We are going to work with you to get the information we need to do that review. Typically, reviews are done on site, but due to COVID-19, that is why it is a desk review, and programs specialists have been assigned to different schools. And so you will be hearing from your program specialist probably in the next couple of weeks, if you have not already, to request information. Okay, Katie, I'm going to turn it on over to you to talk about the meal service waivers. Sometime I'm going to turn it over to Katie to.
Oh my gosh, I was talking, but I wasn't unmuted. Okay, I knew I'd do something like that today. Thank you, Sean. Thanks for getting us started, and thanks everyone for joining us. You could click on to the next slide for me, Sean. I'll highlight for everybody, that we've got a CNP waivers at a glance document available for you at the very top of our nutrition services webpage. So it's right there, easy for you to access. And if you click on to the next one, Sean, I'll show you what it looks like. It's just a simple table format type document where each of those items that you can see is underlined and in blue text is a hyperlink to the actual policy memo issued by the USDA. So if you have any questions about the most recent policies issued or memos issued by the Food and Nutrition Service arm of the USDA, you can check that document, that CNP waivers at a glance form there. So you can head over to the next slide, Sean. I'm going to highlight just a few of those that I think are most impactful to your meal service. And you'll notice I made a mistake here, and I'm so sorry about that. Waiver number 23 is issued for meal service time flexibility. So that offers you the ability, along with non-congregate feeding option or meal service option, the ability to do grab and go delivery and drive-through type meal service. I made a mistake when I wrote waiver number 23 twice. 23 is the waiver for meal service time flexibilities, but I believe it's waiver number 22 that issues the flexibility to serve non-congregate meals. So I apologize for that mistake, but just to reiterate to you that both of those waivers and their flexibilities are in effect until August 31st, 2020. So hopefully those support the type of meal service you have been doing and want to continue doing as a way to minimize your risk related to the coronavirus. You can go to the next slide for me, Sean, please. We have one more that you're probably using now, not probably, that you may be using now, and you do not have to use it. Again, these are ones you can elect to use if you utilize. If you choose to. You don't have to ask for our permission, but we have already asked in a survey back in April which of these you are participating in. So we've gathered all the information we need from you on them. We're just letting you know that these expiration dates on them have been extended. So meal pickup is allowed. You can send a meal home with a parent, another adult, or guardian, as long as you're taking steps to ensure that those meals are going to adults with eligible children in the household. So some of you smaller school districts that have chosen to utilize this option would pretty easily be able to identify that an adult picking up a meal, in fact, does have a child at home. If it's a larger district, you would certainly need to have more strict integrity rules in place to ensure that those meals are going home to families with eligible children, okay? If you have any questions about the implementation of any of these waivers or your utilization of them, don't hesitate to let us know. We're here to answer those questions for you. And finally, some of you may be using the area eligibility waiver, which allows sponsors of SFSP sites that do not meet the 50% free or reduced eligibility criteria to operate an open site to actually utilize that meal service site operation where you can serve meals to any child age 1 through 18 years. Currently, that area eligibility waiver is in place through June 30th, 2020. So if your school utilizing that waiver because your free reduced eligibility is less than 50%, then your meal service can continue in this fashion where you can serve a meal to any child age 1 through 18 through June 30th. And we know that there is some interest among schools in being able to continue meal service beyond that date of June 30th. We have requested from the regional and national offices an extension of that waiver. However, we have not heard back on whether that will be approved. So we will keep you up to date on any developments related to that area eligibility waiver and its extension request.
Okay, let's talk about some meal service considerations. Well, for those of you that are operating the summer food service program, you all know that you must provide all of the food components in the required serving sizes. It's the same requirement that we have in the school meals program, the same requirement in the summer program. It's the same requirement for any child nutrition program. Production records must be completed by meal type for each meal provided. So for example, Monday breakfast menu with portion sizes for each food item. You need to record the amount of each food item prepared, left over, the number of meals planned recorded. As we continually talk, production records are your documentation that you've met meal pattern. And so when I talk about these desk reviews that we are going to be completing or in the process of completing, it is imperative that your records are complete, that you have demonstrated that you've met meal pattern requirements, and that you have documented on the production record the food you have prepared and what's left over. We want to have really good desk reviews. And so I hate to keep talking about this, but this is always an area that sometimes managers don't understand how important it is to have very, very complete records. Now, with our COVID-19 situation, many sponsors have provided meals daily and have transitioned over into providing bulk meals in bulk. As this has went on, it's a good idea to provide bulk meals. It lessens your food service contact with each other and also with the public. And so some schools have went to providing bulk meals 2 days a week, 3 days a week, or even for a week at a time. And those are perfectly acceptable ways to provide meals. What you have to be able to do is to ensure that that child household can identify what's in that meal. So what goes with Monday's breakfast? What goes with Tuesday's breakfast? So my example, Monday breakfast, I have to be able to have that child identify that they're getting cereal, apple, and milk for Monday's breakfast. Now that can be sending a menu, okay, with the portion sizes listed on the menu, but some way that child or household has to be able to identify what's in one reimbursable meal. So that's something we really want to stress, because I know that as things rolled out, there were so many changes going on at one time that, you know, we're coming back and we want to clarify to make sure everybody's on the same page with some of the things that have to happen. And that is one of them. Along with providing meals in bulk, you know, you want to have storage, safe storage instructions, information on reheating food items. So if you're sending home something that is perishable, you probably need to tell your households what they need to do with it. You know, they need to refrigerate it, and then when they reheat it, what temperature do they need to reheat it to? So we want to make sure that we're providing good food safety information with those meals that we're sending in bulk. Something else to consider when sending meals in bulk is, how are you sending them? Is there going to be enough storage capacity by your households? And so would it be easier to send a half a gallon of milk versus 8 cartons of milk? You know, something to consider. It might be more cost feasible too to send half gallons instead of cartons, but you know, that's perfectly acceptable also. Is the quantity that you send, how are you sending it? So if you have your menu that identifies that the serving size is 1 cup, that's fine to send a half a gallon of milk home or a gallon of milk home. So wanted to talk a little bit about that, especially if you're sending multiple meals for multiple children for a week at a time. You know, if we're talking about 2 children in a household and we're sending meals for 5 days, and we're sending breakfast and lunch. Now, help me out with my math, but that 2 cartons a day for each child, that's like, am I right, 40 cartons of milk? Maybe I'm not. Maybe it's 20. Breakfast and lunch, 2 children, that's 4 a day, 4 times, it's 20 cartons of milk. So it may be more feasible to send, you know, a larger quantity. Wanted to make sure everybody was aware of the standard operating procedures on our website, the food safety standard operating procedures, and that you're utilizing those also. And then also we have a great training that was developed by Christy Bergler from our office on food safety and food consideration concerns during COVID-19, and that's available on our website, and it's a great staff training. She presented it a couple weeks ago, and that's available. Some other meal service reminders is that civil rights poster has to be displayed at each feeding site. And that includes if you are delivering meals to sites or delivering them, that civil rights poster should be posted somewhere so that children can see that poster. And then I wanted to talk a little bit about time tracking certification. Now, with the Summer Food Service Program, for individuals that are working in the program that are not food service staff. So for example, maybe bus drivers, and if their salaries are being paid from the Summer Food Service Program Fund, then you need to have them be time certifying their time spent in the program. It's an allowable cost to the program, but there has to be documentation of time certification and wages so that you have that to demonstrate that those funds were allowable. So I know paras have been working in the program, bus drivers, a lot of different school staff. So just make sure that time certification is being conducted. Now, that's what we have for meal service reminders and considerations. But, you know, you guys are the best sources of what's happening in your schools, what's going well, what's not going well, what do you need help on. So I would like you to unmute your microphones. And if you feel like sharing, please do. I know lots of you out there, and I would certainly call upon you maybe to share, but if we have any volunteers, that would be great. What's working well? Who wants to start?
I can start. My name's Karen. I'm from Cedar Bluffs, and we're serving like 180 to 190 students every week. And we are a smaller community, so we're delivering to these families' homes. I love the milk idea, the half gallon, because we only have like 2 homes that have like 1 child. Everybody is about an average of 3 kids per family. But one of our biggest hits is we've been putting frozen chicken nuggets in there and told them how to microwave them, you know, and temperature. But one of our more popular items was we did a pizza Lunchable with the Riches flatbread and pepperonis, and then the commodities, mozzarella cheese and spaghetti sauce. And we've had a big comeback with kids really liking those items. So we do
that sounds great. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing. Gosh, great ideas. Okay, who wants to share what's been successful? No one's had any success.
I will share. I'm Stacy Rodriguez with Morrow Public Schools. And we currently have been delivering from house to house since the start of the COVID. And we have had higher participation than normal, especially for the summer food program. So it has been wonderful to our families and high school students who have participated even if they didn't participate in the regular school year. So I feel like we have been successfully reaching every child that we can in our school district.
Wonderful, Stacy. So did you have them sign up, or how did you know what houses to deliver to?
We had them sign up, and we just had a spreadsheet. The elementary staff right away called households as soon as we knew that school was closing. And we have just been updating it as soon as people would call in. And then we also advertised just to make sure that we are reaching all of our district, because we also have a lot of option-in students from Scottsbluff, Gering, Torrington, Mitchell. So we tried to reach every student that we could.
Great. How many bus routes do you have, Stacy?
We have 4 bus routes right now.
Super. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
I saw Rowan on. Rowan, I'm going to call upon you. How's things going in Fremont?
I'm very tired. How's that?
How many kids are you feeding?
About 3,200 a week is all.
That's a lot. And how many sites do you have?
We have 3.
3 sites. Okay. And because you operate as a true open site, will you continue on after June 30th?
Correct. We're planning to go all the way up until school starts,
Okay.
which we don't know about that, when
yeah.
that is.
Okay. If you, under the summer food service program, if you have over 50% free and reduced, you are eligible to operate as a true open site, and you don't fall under the area eligibility waiver. So those sites can continue operations after June 30th. But for those schools that are under the area eligibility waiver, as Katie mentioned earlier, as of today, as of what we know right now, that waiver ends June 30th. Okay, I'm going to scroll through and see who else I can call upon. Now, I don't know if all of you are operating the summer food service program, so I'm kind of guessing. Jody, I see you out in Crete. Can you, how's things going in Crete?
I guess I'm kind of like the gentleman from Fremont, exhausted, just really not set up to do this kind of meal service. So it's a lot of moving food and getting things where they need to be. So yeah, it's moving though.
And how many sites are you operating?
We have 2 in town and then 3 that are going out to our small communities.
Okay, so you have 5 sites. And you are a sponsor that transitioned from daily meal service to bulk meal service, correct?
Correct.
And how often do you distribute now?
Just once a week and 14 meals at a time then. We're doing Saturday and Sunday as well.
Okay. And how has that transition went?
It went. I mean, it took us the week where we were still feeding every day as we tried to transition was really difficult. But now that we've got a feet underneath us, we're doing pretty well.
So help me understand how bulk distribution works. Do you get prepared for that several days in advance? You just don't come in one day and do it all, do you?
Heavens no. Like we distribute on Monday. So my ladies were here today getting ready for next week. We put breakfast together and then we put lunch entrees together and then our produce together. So it takes them either 2 or 3 days to get ready for the next distribution.
Yeah. Okay. And did you go with the half gallons of milk or did you stay with individual cartons?
We're doing gallons because we had to give them 14 cups per child. So we're giving them the extra 2 cups.
Okay. Because that's where that first question came from, was from Jody, is can they send half gallons or gallons of milk? So thank you. Thanks for asking that question. That just made perfect sense when you asked it.
And we also do, like, we'll send an entire cucumber instead of trying to cut that up into individuals. And I just, say it's 2 or 3 days worth of the vegetable.
Okay, great, good. And you're sending a menu with portion sizes?
Yep.
Yep, okay. Who else would like to share what they're doing? Joni, I see that you're on. Can you tell us what's going on in Gothenburg? Maybe not. If you're there, Joni, can you join us? If not, maybe Kate, can you tell us what's going on in Kearney?
Okay, yeah, we're doing 3 sites. We're doing daily. We are doing breakfast and lunch. We hadn't done breakfast before on summer food, so we're continuing that. It's kind of, that's going to help us financially. We took a real hit because we were paying all our staff during the COVID while school was in. So they decided to continue paying staff, which thank goodness, because I wouldn't have any staff next year if they didn't do that. But yeah, we're doing 3 sites. Our numbers really dropped like the day was that actually school got out, even though we were advertising. But now the past 2 days, which is our official start of summer food, our numbers are going back up, which I'm excited to say. So it's going pretty well. Just doing grab and go. They're driving up. We have 3 locations where we normally had 2. We have ranged from on a day anywhere from 450 meals to 900
Wow.
per day. Nothing like what I hear Grand Island was doing, but I am requiring that a student is there. And if they aren't, we were having social workers come and take meals to kids, but I then asked for the students' names on those through an email. So I have that recorded that it is a student that's getting the meal. So,
Sounds good. And do you distribute for multiple days?
no, we just do each day.
Each day?
My staff who normally work summer wanted to continue working. They kind of need that paycheck because the pay is over now for everybody. So I'm giving them they need
How
their
are
money.
you ensuring safety?
How are we? Well, we were doing all cold, but now with this week, actually today was our first day where we sent home meals to prepare. And we just did put a flyer in there of what it was. We have a menu printed. We put those out, and we just put the instructions on a flyer in the bag of how to cook, how to reheat, that sort of thing.
Perfect.
Temperature.
Are you doing anything with your staff for personal safety as they work together in the kitchens?
We distance as much as we can, of course, and reiterating extra hand washing. They are wearing masks. So, and that's going to be a requirement for all of Kearney Public soon. So that's kind of what's happening because we're still pretty much in the district. Everybody else is kind of shut down, but
Right.
the custodial and us.
So how is everybody else addressing safety, personal safety in the preparation of meals and the distribution of meals? Are masks required? What are you doing?
At Riverside, we take daily temperatures for our staff.
Oh. So when they report to work, temperatures taken,
Yes,
and then are masks required?
yes. And then we go through about a box of gloves a day, but that's okay. And a lot of hand washing.
Great, thank you. I'm very curious what schools are doing, and as we gear up for the return to school in the fall, those are all things that are going to have to be considered.
Hi, Sean. This is Sharon from Gretna Public Schools.
Ah, Sharon.
Hi.
Thanks for joining. What
Yeah,
are you doing?
we did a Google form. So we take our temperature while we're still at home, and we record the temperature before we come into work. And then we make a note of just all of the different symptoms that are found with COVID. So you have to do a yes, no, and then you have to say a yes, no on any symptoms that are seen in your household. So we have them do that before they even enter into the building. And then we have our floors marked. So each part of the meal is being prepared in a stationary area, which is measured 6 or more feet away from the others. And there's only 2 employees that are called mobile positions, and they move about, but everybody else stays in their own zone and doesn't have any interaction with other staff. And they do wear masks.
Wow, thank you. That's good information for others, maybe as they start thinking about what school might look like in the fall. Now, how many meals are you serving, or are you still serving?
We're not still serving. We stopped May 22nd at the end of the original calendar year. We did over 30,000. 4,000 was from March 16th until April 1st or 2nd, whatever that Friday was. Then we had a week of spring break, and then the 26,000 was just the next several weeks.
You've served a lot of meals.
Not as many compared to the larger districts, but we do feel like we did a fair share for our little town.
Definitely. Does anyone else have anything to share before we move on? Any concerns, any questions you want to ask of the group?
I do have one question. Packaging. What has been a success for packaging? Because right now I've got Ziplocs. Does anybody else have something that works a little bit better or an idea? Kind of my question.
So the question is packaging. What are you using to package your items?
Hi, this is Pearl from Winnebago, and we bought those sealers through Target. They're kind of pricey. They were like $250, but you get the roll of contacts, and then you put that in there, and it seals up the patties really good. That's what we bought.
Great. You were also using another device, one of the baggers or something at one time for your fruit and vegetable program?
Our saddle bags with
Yes.
the sealers. Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we continue those as well. But for like the frozen items, those sealers work really good. The vacuum sealers.
Great. Thank you, Pearl. That's good information. I know at one time packaging was an issue because everyone was trying to get packaging and containers. Has that improved? Anyone want to chime in? What they're using? Are anyone using foil, plastic wrap? How do you send, when you're sending home 14 days worth of meals, what do you put those 14 days worth of meals in? We don't know. I assume probably a large plastic bag, like maybe a bun pan bag, something like that.
Sean, from Stacy from Morrow Public Schools, we actually purchased little 5-ounce containers, and I think there was an 8-ounce maybe, I can't remember, but it's like a plastic container. They were super cheap. I think they were like 50 cents a container, just for the ones that, like the meals that need to be reheated. We put those in there. So I think we either got them off of Amazon or we got them off of our vendor Cashway. But the food service director is on the Zoom also. She would probably know more.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, Stacy.
You're welcome.
Okay, I think we'll move on. Thanks for sharing, everyone. Annual reminders. Okay. You must notify nutrition services if there is a change in any of these staff. That would include any new food service director or manager, if you have a new bookkeeper, or if there is a change in authorized representative, which is typically your superintendent, that individual that's listed on the school lunch application. The authorized representative is the person ultimately in charge of the program. Our office needs to know about any of those changes. Changes typically happen in the summer, and when we send out emails, it's It's connected to your application, your current application, which would be your application for school year 1920. New applications will be completed in July, August. We want to make sure we have contact information for anyone new that is at your school district that is a new food service director, bookkeeper, or authorized representative. Many individuals have wondered about professional standards with the unanticipated school closure. What about professional standards? Are we required to get our number of hours this school year? And the answer is yes. This is unfortunately probably maybe more of a good time to be able to get those training hours. And you can certainly go to the Institute of Child Nutrition, the School Nutrition Association. There's a lot of webinars and presentations out there. Remember, all of those count. Just make sure you document that on your log sheet that you viewed that training, when you viewed it, how many hours you're claiming for credit. Typically, it tells you what it's worth for training hours. And then we will also be having online trainings for our new food service director staff. It'll be very similar to our School Meals 101 that we have held in previous summers in person, but due to how things are now, the training will be provided online. And I anticipate that it will be available soon in the next coming weeks. That training will be posted on our website. And then if you're still needing some other hours for training, if you go to the Nutrition Services website, we do have training listed, and there are some online trainings available on our website. Now I'm going to turn it over to Sarah Smith, and she's going to be talking about local foods.
Thanks, Sean. I'm Sarah. I work with the local foods projects here at the Nebraska Department of Ed, and I also coordinate the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable program. So it is fun to see your faces. I've been in touch with several of you about fresh fruit and vegetables specifically, so it's good to be here. And this is really just a quick farm to school minute. There's a lot of opportunities out there, and you have a lot on your plates. So I thought I would just take a quick minute on these conversations to try and share just one snippet of some things happening in the state. So take what you like, leave the rest, and know that there's always more to come. But Sean, if you want to advance to that next slide there. We have a partner that we work with, especially on our Harvest of the Month program. But they are Buy Fresh, Buy Local Nebraska. They are a chapter of a national organization. So we have one chapter here in Nebraska that is housed in the university, and they just released their 2020 local food guide, which is why I chose to provide a little snippet about them today. So you see here this link, we have the buylocalnebraska.org/online-food-guide. And in there they have, it's a paper version that you can order on the website, and that you can also download PDF versions. You might be able to order some number of bulk to send home to families if you think that'd be a nice resource to include in there. There's some recipes, there's just really great highlights of farmers markets and local producers and that type of thing. And one item that is new this year that I think is pretty fun is they're doing these mini food guides. So they're looking to do regional focuses, and what they can offer right now is Beatrice and Tri-Cities. So if you're in the Hastings area or Beatrice, Kearney, Grand Island, jump online and request one of those food guides and see what you can learn about your area and local farms and products that would be available. So they do this annual publication, and it is free. So I encourage you to check it out. I always learn something, and I'm always inspired, even if I'm doing it off of work hours, to just look through these guides. They're also available to help with one-on-one assistance. If you want to connect with producers, I recommend you reach out to them. If you go to the next slide, Sean, we'll also see a map of Nebraska Foods. It's a membership organization from what I understand of them. But here, this is a map that lists their members. They did a scholarship opportunity this year that did increase some of their memberships, but you can see a large chunk of our state is unrepresented here. So they have a major vision to increase their memberships across the state. So be aware of that. But this is one place that you could go to see where farmers, ranchers, farmers markets, and local food businesses exist. And then we have one more slide. I just wanted to point out something that has become more on the forefront of my understanding is that these local food groups are popping up as local food issues, and challenges in access to some foods have happened in the current stage of what we're going through with the pandemic. And so some of these Facebook links are for different regions of our state, and they're developing in order for people to kind of take some action and start connecting. So I can share these with you separately and in an email if you want to have this link emailed directly to you. But there is one group here, Voices for Food, is in Dakota County. They work on some policy issues. Northeast Nebraska Local Food and Arts Business is really active. The Nebraska Farm Market is brand new to me today. Someone sent that to me. And then Farm to Table is for the western part of the state. And then I also, just right before this webinar, I was also sent a couple of that are out in Fremont. The Fremont Farmers Market is worth a look, and the Fremont Area Fresh Produce, and also Central Nebraska Local Foods. So maybe what we could do is put these on our Farm to School part of our website. But anyway, reach out if you have questions or want to be connected in any way. And best of luck as you all move forward with serving students and working with the programs that you are working with. So that's what I had, Sean. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Sarah. Okay, so you can always reach us by phone or email. Our office, we are working remotely. We are not in the state office building, but you can reach us by phone or email. Erica, as I mentioned earlier, is out on maternity leave through July. Beth, Laura, Michelle, Mary Ann, Donna, Katie, myself, we're all available for any questions you may have. So please don't hesitate to reach out to us. And that kind of concludes the Zoom presentation, but let's check with Katie to see if we've got any questions in our chat box. I will, oh my gosh, there's 99 plus chats.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, you guys gave so many great ideas in the chat box. Thank you. Look at all these ideas.
They did a great job of sharing.
Love it. Do each school have to keep waivers on file or not? Katie, can you answer that one for us?
Yeah, you don't have to keep, you need to, I guess, be able to share with us information about your utilization of the waivers, and obviously keep copies of those policy memos that issue those waiver flexibilities so you have easy access to them in case you need to refer to them. But if you answered questions for us in a survey back in April that indicated which of those flexibilities you're using, then that's as far as you need to go, and we would store the answers to that, so we would be able to document your participation in each of them.
Thanks, Katie. Next question is from Stacy. Is a timesheet sufficient enough to document for bus drivers and paras? Yes. as long as that time that they are documenting on their timesheet is strictly for the summer food service program. If they are working in other programs or non-related summer food service, then that time needs to be further broken down into what specifically is for the summer food service program, Stacy.
I see a question from Donna about whether we're offering a webinar like this to cover back to school related issues for the fall. And I'm not sure if you're all aware of the Launch Nebraska website that NDE is working on, and it's going to include information on all areas of reopening a school and what kind of scenarios your food service in particular are going to look like. So we've got a couple team members working on that. We're not certain on the launch date for Launch Nebraska, but we will be sure to share that information with you when we know it's available and ready for the public to view, so you can anticipate sessions regarding that topic in the future as we get a little bit closer. We know you're trying to plan and do the best you can and need information to do that. So yes, you can expect that in the future.
Now, as I was looking at all these chats, I noticed that most of them were your name and email address for the certificate, which is great. That's exactly what we asked for. If you did not put your email address, please put that in. I see some of you just put your name, and we need your name and email address. So if you only put your name, please retype into the chat your email address.
Karen asked what the topic will be for our next Zoom meeting, and we will make sure we let you know that when we remind you for the next one that we'll hold on June 16th. And I can tell you right now, I don't think we've solidified that, but we'll make sure to let you know so that you know whether or not it's something you want to be able to join us for.
And we're open to topics, so if there's something that you would like us to present on, please share with us. You can put that in the chat box if you have any ideas of what you would like to hear more about. We'd be glad to take a look at that. I'm scrolling down through the chat box to see if there's anything else we should talk about. Just so many good ideas about packaging. Thank you so much for providing those. We purchased brown paper bags and plastic bags from the local grocery store. Brown paper bags and to-go boxes have worked well for us. T-shirt bags and clamshells. Deli paper to wrap subs and wrap sandwiches.
Karen Schaefer asked if Nebraska is forming a task force surrounding returning to the cafeteria and food service when school resumes again. And I would say that that is the purpose of the Launch Nebraska team we've got together. And I know that they are soliciting feedback and ideas for what back to school in terms of food service looks like. So I would consider that to be something very similar to a task force. We're certainly utilizing food service directors' expertise when it comes to developing the checklists that you're going to find available to you as part of the resources for Launch Nebraska.
A lot of questions about what school might look like in the fall, and I wish we had more specific answers for you. That is really going to be a school's decision. And right now I think schools are still deciding.
Hey, Sean, this is Sharon.
Yes.
I do have a few comments related to the startup because that is something that they do need to be in contact with their administrator, because if you look at the COVID distribution, there's some counties in Nebraska that haven't even had a case. And so what school startup looks for them is going to be a lot different than what it might look in Madison County or Dawes or some of those other counties that have been impacted more severely. So definitely encourage everyone to talk to their administrators and be part of that discussion on what school is going to look like. If you're going to have, you know, grab and go lunches, that's going to impact what you purchase. So you really need, I encourage everyone to be part of that discussion. And I don't think that we can say this is one plan that's going to work for everybody. It's going to depend upon what's happening at their counties. And the local health departments are always a good resource if you have questions about anything related to the safety and health. I also did put in the chat box, page 9 of the Launch Nebraska document for health guidance has some information about food service in it. So I did put that link to that document and also to the Launch Nebraska site.
Thank you so much, Sharon. You raise great points about school may look different in different parts of the state in the fall. So thank you very much. Well, if there's no other questions, now's your opportunity. We have just a few minutes left. If not, thank you so much for joining us today. And we will be back in 2 weeks. But in the meantime, if you have any questions or concerns, please do not hesitate to reach out to us. Katie, do you have anything to add?
I do have one question. This is Stacy from Morrow Public Schools again.
Sure.
Regarding the half gallons that people are sending home, do you just put the portion sizes for those larger families instead of just giving them individual cartons?
Well, that would be on the menu that you would distribute that would say 1 cup of milk. So the menu would indicate what the serving size is.
Okay. So we would just have to keep that on the menu and then just send home that half gallon.
Yes, you just need to be able to show them what's in one meal and what the portion size for each of those food components is. Now, a lot of those items are going to be packaged so that it's obvious what the portion size is. But for like milk, where you're sending it home in a gallon, then they would need to be able to know, well, 1 cup is the serving size.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Stacy. Thanks to everyone. We'll go ahead and end the meeting.